High in the mountains of South Asia, there is a place where borders look solid on maps but fragile on the ground, where soldiers stand, watch at altitudes that barely support human life, where generations have grown up surrounded by checkpoints, barbed wire, and uncertainty. That place is Kashmir. For most of the world, Kashmir appears only when violence erupts, after a border clash, an airstrike, or a political decision made hundreds of miles away. But for nearly 8 decades, it has been one of the most dangerous unresolved conflicts in the international system. Not because it is constantly at war, but because it never truly stopped being one. Kashmir is not just a territorial dispute. It is a convergence point of history, nationalism, geography, and power. And it involves not 2, but 3 nuclear-armed states, India, Pakistan, and China. To understand why Kashmir still matters so intensely, the story begins in 1947. That year, the British Empire withdrew from the Indian subcontinent after almost 2 centuries of colonial rule. What followed was not a careful transfer of power, but a rushed partition that divided British India into 2 new states, India and Pakistan. The separation was based largely on religion, with Pakistan envisioned as a Muslim homeland and India defined as a secular republic with a Hindu majority. The process was catastrophic. Borders were drawn in a matter of weeks. Entire regions were cut in half. Roughly 14 million people were displaced and more than 1 million were killed in one of the largest episodes of mass violence in modern history. Amid this collapse of order sat more than 560 princely states, semi-autonomous regions ruled by local monarchs under British oversight. Each was told to accede to either India or Pakistan. Most decisions were straightforward. Kashmir was not. Kashmir had a Muslim majority population, but was ruled by a Hindu monarch. As violence spread and armed groups entered the region, the ruler faced a decision under extreme pressure. He chose to accede to India in exchange for military assistance. That decision triggered the first war between India and Pakistan. When fighting stopped in 1948, Kashmir was divided along a ceasefire line. India controlled roughly 2/3 of the territory. Pakistan controlled the remainder. Both claimed the entire region. What was meant to be temporary became permanent. The line hardened, troops stayed, and a dispute born in colonial collapse became institutionalized. Today, that division is known as the Line of Control. It is one of the most militarized borders in the world. For Pakistan, Kashmir is inseparable from national identity. The logic of Pakistan's creation was that Muslims of the subcontinent required a separate homeland. A Muslim-majority Kashmir governed by India challenges that logic. From Islamabad's perspective, Kashmir represents unfinished partition, an injustice left unresolved in 1947. For India, Kashmir represents sovereignty. Accepting Pakistan's claim would mean conceding that religion determines borders. For a country built on secular nationalism and territorial unity, that precedent is dangerous. Kashmir, in this sense, is not just about land. It is about the nature of the Indian state itself. This alone would make Kashmir volatile. But the conflict does not end with India and Pakistan. In the 1950s, China quietly consolidated control over Aksai Chin, a remote high-altitude desert in eastern Kashmir claimed by India. On maps, it appears empty. In reality, it is strategically essential. Aksai Chin connects China's western region of Xinjiang with Tibet, enabling internal military and logistical movement across Chinese territory. Tensions erupted in 1962 when India and China fought a brief but decisive war. India was unprepared. China emerged in control of Aksai Chin, and it retains that control today. For Beijing, the region is not symbolic. It is strategic. Losing it would expose China's western frontier and weaken internal cohesion. Kashmir is now divided 3 ways. India claims all of it. Pakistan claims most of it. China controls a portion and backs Pakistan diplomatically and strategically. Each country views Kashmir through a different lens, but all see it as essential to national security. Geography intensifies the stakes. Kashmir sits at the source of several major river systems that supply water to hundreds of millions of people across South Asia. These rivers are vital for agriculture, energy, and survival, particularly for Pakistan, which lies downstream. In a region already vulnerable to climate change, water security is not a future concern, it is a present one. The people of Kashmir are often absent from these strategic calculations. Many Kashmiris do not identify fully with either India or Pakistan. Movements calling for autonomy or independence have been met with heavy militarization, surveillance, and political repression. In 2019, India revoked Article 370 of its constitution, stripping Jammu and Kashmir of the semi-autonomous status it had held since accession in 1947. New Delhi framed the move as an administrative reform meant to integrate the region more fully into the Indian state and promote development. but on the ground it was accompanied by mass troop deployments, communications blackouts, detentions of political leaders, and a sharp reduction of local political autonomy. For many Kashmiris, it confirmed long-standing fears of demographic and political marginalization. Pakistan condemned the decision as illegal and destabilizing, arguing that it violated international commitments and further inflamed regional tensions. China viewed the move through a different lens. Parts of the territory affected by India's reorganization border areas claimed by Beijing. From China's perspective, the decision altered the status quo in a sensitive border region and intersected directly with its unresolved territorial disputes with India. Overlaying all of this is the nuclear dimension. India and Pakistan have fought multiple wars and engaged in countless skirmishes over Kashmir since 1947. Both countries tested nuclear weapons in 1998, fundamentally altering the conflict. Nuclear deterrence has reduced the likelihood of full-scale war, but it has also normalized low-intensity confrontation. Cross-border shelling, militant attacks, airspace violations, and limited strikes occur under the assumption that escalation can be controlled. This assumption is fragile. Every crisis introduces the possibility of miscalculation, miscommunication, or unintended escalation with consequences far beyond the region. For China, Kashmir fits into a broader strategic rivalry with India that extends well beyond this single dispute. The two countries share a long, disputed border, compete for influence across Asia, and view each other as long-term strategic challengers. Infrastructure projects, military deployments, and economic corridors all intersect in the Himalayan region. By maintaining close ties with Pakistan, China gains strategic depth, constrains India's regional ambitions, and secures its western frontier. Control of Aksai Chin remains central to China's ability to move forces and supplies between Xinjiang and Tibet. What emerges is not a frozen conflict but a managed one. Kashmir remains unresolved not because diplomatic solutions are unimaginable, but because compromise carries severe domestic political costs for all parties involved. Leaders face nationalist pressure, institutional inertia, and security establishments that benefit from the status quo. Over time, provisional arrangements harden into permanent realities. Temporary measures become structural. History becomes justification. In this environment, human concerns are consistently subordinated to strategic logic. The region is governed less as a place where people live and more as a space to be controlled.